Business Lesson 10. High Achievers, Book 5, Business English, Vocabulary, Part 1, page 76. Hallmark. Go the extra mile. Analogy. Accordingly. Inherently. Cog. Overburden. Optimum. Article Part 2, page 78. High Achievers and How to Keep Them. Looking through the self-help sections in your local bookshop, you'll find plenty of guides. How to be successful at work, how to boost your career, any number of habits of the successful business person. Finding people's thoughts on success for the individual is not hard. But what happens when you are the manager of an employee who consistently hits the mark? While high achievers can deliver as much as 400% higher productivity than the average worker, the bad news is that they are going to be harder to satisfy. What's worse is that most organizations have policies that are able to deal with workers who are not up to scratch. But how do you deal with staff who are working at optimum levels? It's important to evaluate what the main motivators are for high achievers, both extrinsic and intrinsic. While a good salary and pay bonuses, which are examples of external or extrinsic motivators, are obvious choices for why a top employee would want to stay with a company, research shows that this is often not enough. Intrinsic motivators, such as having a sense of adding value to a company, being given autonomy, and being able to develop as a professional, are vital to an employee's sense of well-being. So, if you're just throwing money at your best person, but they're not learning anything and they don't feel valued, it may not be long until you're getting their resignation letter. Here are some ideas to keep the cream of the crop. Firstly, help them to be visible outside of your department or team. Give them an opportunity to present ideas to senior management or to other departments in the company. Ask them to head up a group on a particular task and give them responsibility for that, allowing them the opportunity to lead and to be consulted. Showing them that their opinion is valued and sought after, perhaps even beyond your department, is a good way to make them feel a sense of purpose. Avoid micromanaging top achievers at all costs. No one likes it, but if you don't allow your best employees to spread their wings and use their creativity to address problems without you constantly watching over them, they will soon find other opportunities and move on. Highly productive employees are much more likely to crave leadership opportunities and independence, and will resent not having the freedom or the scope to grow. Actively discuss future career pathways within the company with them. High achievers are not going to want to stay in one position indefinitely. Talking with them about further possibilities within the company lets them know that their work is noticed and appreciated, and that you are paying attention to the possibilities that they are creating. It also shows that you are interested in their development beyond the role that they are currently in. It's in your interest as a manager that when they inevitably leave, they stay with the company or possibly with a more advanced role within the department, rather than take their talents to a competitor. Give high achievers say over their development. If possible, secure a budget for their development and allow them to decide how they would like to use it and what they would like to learn, gearing their training to their interests and needs. This gives them a sense of participating in their training and a sense of autonomy, rather than a sense of having to go to the mandatory training session. Again, this will make them feel valued and actively engaged in what they are doing. While retaining such employees may require allocating finances to them, it is a solid investment for the company. Keeping high performers in the company is much simpler than attracting new ones. Equally, top employees tend to have the effect of encouraging top performance in others, and attracting like-minded individuals to the company too. So making the effort to keep the heavy hitters will pay dividends, both seen and unseen. Listening Part 1, page 79, script on page 196.
Today, we're discussing the question, what makes a high achiever? In the studio today to give their thoughts on the answers to this are Mark Walkden, Senior Manager for the Merchant Chalmer Corporation.
Hello?
And Stephanie Dalton, Director for Greco Industries.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So, to start with, I think if we want to know what makes a high achiever, a good question to ask would be, what do managers want in an employee?
If we're being honest, I think it really comes down to managers wanting employees who make their job easier. The more an employee is able to take initiative, help lead the team, and manage themselves, the more positively a manager is likely to view them.
This is true. I think employees who are able to step up to a challenge and look for new possibilities and opportunities are, in reality, valued more highly than those who simply do as they are instructed. Managers want people who will be able to find solutions to problems and think creatively, not just workers who follow their instructions. So one hallmark of a successful employee would be one who figured out this unsaid aspect of their job and fulfilled that need.
Absolutely. I think you've touched on an important point there. What managers want you to do isn't always going to be clearly defined in the job description. They need people on their team who can view the situation through their eyes and address those needs. Not a job's worth.
I'm sorry, what is a job's worth?
I'm sorry. It's an expression. It just means someone who always follows the rules exactly, even when it isn't helpful or cooperative. It comes from the phrase, "I can't do that. It's more than my job's worth." Exactly the kind of thing a job's worth would say.
I think I have met some of these job's worths in my career.
So, are we saying that the advice here is to work hard and go the extra mile?
I'm not so sure it's really just about hard work. I've had plenty of hardworking people work for me, but the hard work was really about them, about their brand. It wasn't really about improving matters for the team or for me. These people reminded me of a time when I was in school and wrote this long essay in English. I was so proud of it because I knew the English was perfect, but then I was horrified when I got a low grade for it.
What happened?
I had not answered the question properly. All of my effort and attention to grammar, spelling, and punctuation was for nothing because I had not answered the question.
Yes, that's the perfect analogy. I've had those employees too. Working hard, but not at the right thing, and do not use the right rules, so there's no real benefit from their work.
And why do you think hardworking employees can put their efforts in the wrong direction?
Well, I think often it is because they are so focused on their own work, they don't see what the organization needs as a whole and how their contribution fits in. Organizations change over time and their needs change. Some workers don't see this and don't adapt accordingly.
The business world has been through some particularly difficult times over the last few years. There are no givens, so organizational leaders are going to inherently value those employees who can adapt, innovate, and be inclusive of others. Those who can see themselves as part of a machine, not just a cog in it.
Very true. You can also have employees who go too far the other way. Those who include everyone in everything and overshare and overburden everyone in the process.
Essentially, a high achiever needs to be easy to work with, and someone who is able to deliver the results. And certainly not a job's worth.
Certainly not.
Thank you both very much for your thoughtful answers today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll have a look at some replies to the question from our listeners which have been pouring in.
Hey, thanks for listening. We hope that you enjoyed another lesson of Uncle Sam's American English. These audios are synced with our 4-book series. Contact one of our professors or join our online course by visiting our Facebook page, Uncle Sam's International.